Satoru Nagao, Senior Fellow of Hudson Institute, as well as Colonel Grant Newsom, a retired U.S. Marine and author, also joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us and good morning. Colonel Grant, this is a very significant statement that has come in because India has been at the receiving end of the cross-border terrorism, and 2611 in particular is an issue that has been going on for several years now. There's talk of accountability in this statement. Do you see that happening, and what kind of accountability are we looking at?
You know, I really don't see real accountability happening. It's nice that it was mentioned in the statement, but considering the evidence, particularly of state involvement in that incident, I just don't see anybody really going after the people who did it. As I say, it's a good statement, and in general, all parties to this meeting can say that they're sort of agreeing on the need to deal with terrorism. They have no tolerance for it. But then 2011 was a long time ago. What's actually been done for some real accountability? And as I say, given the evidence of who was behind this, if they haven't done anything yet, I'm not too optimistic about what will happen, regardless of the language of this recent summit.
But why is that? Why do you think we are not able to move towards accountability?
Oh, there's just too many people in administrations, successive administrations, who are just risk averse. And it's a tendency to want to split the difference, just not to sort of raise a fuss, not upset things, just sort of let things slide. And in some ways it's human nature, but it's really common practice, I'd say, by foreign affairs officials, government officials, that we've seen all the time. And you look at what has been done to the United States in terms of terrorism, we haven't really gone after the people who are behind it. In fact, we've, in some cases, have aided and abetted them. We've relaxed sanctions on them. We've provided them with billions of dollars. So one, I think, is properly skeptical. It's just this risk-averse attitude that one finds in administrations. And then there's a political angle to it all. If you go after perpetrators of terrorism, there's a potential that you'll have a sort of a dispute or some sort of a fight that is going to cause you trouble domestically from a political perspective. But if you watch this long enough, you realize that sometimes that we really don't go after terrorism the way that we talk about. Now and then there are some successes. And we've seen these now and then when some people who have caused us a lot of trouble suddenly get vaporized, or some of our friends do it on our behalf. But by and large, I'm not optimistic that we'll see anything really serious done about the specific acts of terror that have been mentioned.
Okay, well, that's very unfortunate. It's been several years. It's been about 16 years. It took place in 2008. And Dr. Nagao, do you agree with that? Do you agree with what Colonel Grant is saying, that this is a strong statement of condemnation, yes, but beyond that, we may not see much happening?
Yeah, there is a possibility that cooperation will improve in the area of the counterterrorism. But at the same time, most important thing of this statement, this sentence is, who is a friend and who is the enemy? Because Pakistan is tilting towards China side. And now the Western countries, including US, Australia, or in some cases Japan, do not support Pakistan's policy. Because India is our friend. India is most important. What we want to say, the other three countries, which is Japan, US, Australia, want to say, we are India's side. That is the message of this statement, I think.
Okay. Okay. So making it clear who are the countries that are working together, that's the reason why this statement is significant, you say. I request you to stay with us. After the Quad meeting in Delaware, the Prime Minister has headed to New York, where he will be addressing the Indian diaspora. The next day, that is on the 23rd of September, he will also be speaking at the UN Summit of Future before returning to India. So it's going to be a packed 3 days for the Prime Minister after the meeting. Now he is is currently in New York, and here as well he has quite a packed schedule. So the Prime Minister has landed in New York. These are the visuals that you're seeing on the screens. Today as well is going to be quite a packed day. So the Prime Minister is in New York. He will be interacting with CEOs of leading US-based companies. That's after a few hours, and there will be discussions, of course, focused on strengthening collaboration in several key areas, including AI, quantum computing, semiconductors and biotechnology. So AI and semiconductors in particular, remember the Prime Minister has spoken about it time and again on the need to progress, and of course semiconductors in particular, the Prime Minister has been very, very keen, has spoken about how India can be the new hub for semiconductors. Later in the day, he will also be addressing the Indian community in New York, which is all excited and waiting to welcome the Prime Minister.
I am from Long Island, New York, and we are here to welcome our own Shri Narendra Modi ji. We all are super excited, very, very excited to see him and meet him personally, greet him personally. Bharat Mata ki Jai.
और मैं बहुत ही एक्साइटेड हूँ, पहली बार उनसे मिलने के लिए आ रहा हूँ और मतलब मैं बता नहीं सकता कि इतना गर्व फील हो रहा है मुझे कि आई कैन एटलीस्ट उनको देख सकता हूँ यहाँ पे सबके सामने, तो बहुत ही like overwhelming. I cannot even speak like what I can say, feel it.
My name is मंदार केलकर, मराठी विश्व प्रेसिडेंट. आज मैं नरेंद्र जी मोदी से मिलने के लिए आ रहा हूँ. I am very, very excited to see him first time. Thank you so much. I am coming from Edison, New Jersey.
Well, this is going to be a sight to behold. In a few hours from now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be here. I'm standing right now at the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island in New York. And in some time from now, you can expect that this stadium, this arena, is going to be filled to capacity. It accommodates about 14,000 people. And what I've been told by the organizers is that as many as 40 to 45,000 people registered for this event, and only 14,000 at the end of the day can make it to the stadium. The rehearsals have just concluded, and very soon, of course, the stadium will be completely empty. Preparations are, of course, being made for people to be coming in at approximately 7:30 to 8 in the morning before this cultural extravaganza gets underway at 10 o'clock in the morning New York time. The Prime Minister, of course, will be making an address and is expected to speak at length about the evolution of Indo-American ties during his tenure as Prime Minister so far. And what's been a very important and a very unique feature of his diplomacy and his foreign policy outreach is to actually reach out to members of the Indian diaspora all across the world. We saw that happen for the very first time in 2014 when Prime Minister Modi addressed a capacity crowd at Madison Square Garden when he made his first visit to the United States as Prime Minister. Now, of course, 10 years into his tenure, he'll be once again repeating that feat, so to speak, but at another venue, this time around at the Nassau Coliseum in the presence of almost 15,000 people. The anticipation is building up. It's going to be a big, big event, and there are more than 4.5 million Indian Americans who will be looking forward to this very important occasion, also happening in the build-up to the American elections, which take place in November. Indian Americans are, of course, a very important electoral constituency now. They exercise a fair amount of influence in American politics, and they'll be keenly watching the proceedings in the Nassau Coliseum when the Prime Minister speaks tomorrow.
Now let's break down the details of the Quad meeting. So the Quad has also announced a maritime initiative training. This is called Maitri that has been announced. Quad ports of the future has also been announced. So maritime initiatives have been announced. This is very significant. Training initiative Maitri has been announced at this meeting. The Quad at Sea Observer mission has also been flagged, and the Quad ports of the future has also been announced. So new Quad maritime initiative Maitri has been announced in this meeting. It's a new regional maritime initiative for training in the Indo-Pacific to enable the partners in the region to maximize tools provided, and other Quad partner initiatives as well to monitor and secure their waters. This is very important, especially considering the threat or that has been militarization that has been seen in the South China Sea. Dr. Nagao, among the probably the most significant parts of the decisions that have been taken in the Quad meeting. The decisions on maritime are going to be most significant, especially considering the aggression that we are seeing in South China Sea, isn't it?
Of course, when we talk about Quad, we cannot forget China. So China expands their territory or their activity and provoke other countries in the maritime area. Because any great power rely on maritime trade. And so that's why Quad must deal with China's ambition. In this case, military or non-military is one set indeed. For example, the Belt and Road Initiative is civil purpose infrastructure project on surface. But China exploits this infrastructure project to set up a new military base or increasing military deployment as a logistical base. So that's why this is strategic cooperation to deal with China. China is promoting maritime trade, they said, but this is only for China. That is a problem. Quad must stop China and maintain rule-based order in the maritime area, promoting trade based on our rule, because benefit. We should share. So that's why Quad is strong cooperation to deal with China, and we need to deal with. That's why this cooperation has made in the maritime trade area.
Okay, Colonel Grant, in fact, in the joint statement as well, the Quad mentions the coercive and intimidating maneuvers in the South China Sea.
Oh, yes, it's clear who they're talking about. They're talking about the People's Republic of China. So this agreement in the Quad to cooperate on maritime security is potentially very significant. If you look at this from Beijing's perspective, one of the things they hate the most is when their enemies, and that's how they refer to us, when their enemies get together to defend themselves and cooperate, they really don't like that at all. And when you combine the resources of the Quad countries, Japan, Australia, India, and the United States, you get something pretty interesting. You've got a lot of resources, a lot of ships, a lot of aircraft, a lot of capability, and the ability to cover a large amount of territory. One-on-one against the PRC, the odds aren't quite as good, but when you combine resources, it gets pretty effective. Now, what you have to do, of course, is to make it into something serious that is able to cover and defend Indian Ocean, things east of the Straits of Malacca as well. But the potential is there, and one hopes that we see more of it. And there's been some good initiatives, some good talk. You find that the Quad nations are doing exercises together. The agreement to have Indian companies repair and maintain U.S. ships, that's significant as well. Logistics cooperation. So this could be a very, very good first step for the free nations, the nations with consensual governments, to protect themselves and to protect their friends.
Okay, all right. Request you to stay with us, requesting our viewers also to stay with us. A lot more to talk about. For now, we're slipping into a very short break here. We'll be right back. To stay with us.